The next item on this motion, on this action, associates itself with revisions to policy GCBA, instructional staff contracts, compensation, and salary schedules. And this was something that Dr. Pilch referred to earlier.
Yes, when we began that work with the GEA and some of our other staff to resolve the grievance of May 2014, we pulled the board policy to look at what we currently had in policy to say, what's our policy tell us that we can do around placing teachers on the salary schedule and other employees on the salary schedule. So as a result of that work that is going to cause our lawsuit to go away, which is very good news, we also needed to make some changes to board policy GCBA. And I've got Dr. Ayton and Ms. Otto again to help us with that. So they'll talk you through how they came about making the revisions and a little bit about why we're making these suggested revisions.
And let me go ahead and it's my fault for not starting out with a request for a motion, since this is an action item.
I move that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 approve the revisions to policy GCBA, instructional staff contracts, compensation, salary schedules as presented.
Second.
Thank you very much for keeping me on my toes. I think we're ready to hear a few things.
Good evening again, President DeWitt. Yes, as we worked through that process, the first thing we did was kind of take that trip back in the past and found out that we knew there had been some conflicting wording in this policy. It said at one point you could grant this many years, and in another place it said up to 25 years, and it really made some of our work in human resources and within the contract very difficult as we worked through a solution in this, because in essence it was contradictory. And so we agreed as part of that consensus process that one thing we would come forward with out of that work was a recommendation to the board about at least what was reasonable and what would allow us some flexibility, but also would be in line with other employees. The second half of this policy, the contracts portion, remains relatively unchanged. This is directly out of state law. We've added the term specialized service professionals because they're, as part of the MOU, are under a teacher contract as well. But that part remains unchanged because it's very much in line with state law. It says that you have to give us 30 days notice to get out of your contract, and if you don't, then we can go after damages or 1/12 of your salary. And so that part, it's very rare that happens, but we do hold our employees to those 30 days. And we're one of the rare districts that do that, and we tell people that right up front. So in the first part of it, one thing that came out of our consensus work together was 15 years. And maybe Pat, you want to talk a little bit about maybe why we landed at 15 years?
Well, the old policy, the first part, had that up to 15 years of work experience, prior experience, could be granted. And then it went on with some confusing language of up to 25. Well, our salary schedule doesn't have 25 steps anymore, so that part was outdated, so we all agreed that the 25-year needed to go. And when we looked at the 15-year part, we made some clarifications on, like for our SSPs, they could have medical field experience that may not have been honored in the past. And so now it reads that we look at all prior work experience related to the job you're applying for when placing people on the salary schedule. So it honors all their past related work.
So that really grants us some pretty good flexibility for, number one, a little stretch for what we can do with teachers, but also with SSPs. And we'll hope it helps us recruit a little bit. It also had that weird language around if you had to attend an orientation, and that's not our practice. Our practice is that all new employees, even rehired employees, attend an orientation. And if you're in your first year, we pay you in 13 installments. So now this, again, cleaned up language that was clearly obsolete and outdated and made it very, very much in line with what we do in practice today. And again, I want to take this opportunity to thank Greeley Education Association, Dr. Pilch, your patience, and that part of this process in being able to clean up some of the specialized service professionals, placement on the salary schedule, but also the elimination of the lawsuit. That there was a lot of people who worked on this and had input into it. And that's a pretty big effort. And it's just nice to come before you tonight with kind of the last piece of being able to solve this problem. Anything else?
Nope. Comments or questions from board members? I think we all want to heap praise, but go ahead, Mr. Haefele.
I was going to heap praise.
Go ahead.
Just waiting for you.
I'll celebrate both sides. I mean, it shows that we're a team, and that's what our future goals are. And I like Dr. Pilch has talked about we're going away from negotiations and we're going to bargaining, and I think that that's a positive way to look at the future. So I'd like to thank everybody involved with working well together, and everybody deserves kudos.
Seeing no other comments, thank you, Mr. Haefele. Roll call, Ms. Brand?
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
Mr. Haefele?
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
Aye.
Mr. Lydiak?
Aye.
Ms. Pappas?
Aye.
Dr. Richard?
Aye.
And the motion carries 6-0.
Thank you very much. The next item is the City of Greeley Intergovernmental Agreement, Shared Use and Property Exchange. It is an action item, and I'd be glad to hear a motion. This would be the time.
I move that
Thank
the
you.
Board of Education of Walton County School District 6 approve the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Greeley for the shared use of building and property exchange as presented. Second.
Thank you very much.
Who's just trying
Dr.
not to
Pilch,
win?
I think we need to hear specifics.
Okay, so this is another example of a terrific partnership that's solving problems and making good things happen for the community and District 6 both. So to set the stage for this item, I need to share a little bit with you that as a government agency, we may join another governmental agency to share services and other supports, and included in what is allowable in that partnership is the exchange of services, facilities, and property. And so this intergovernmental agreement allows us to enter in with the City of Greeley to do just that. The City of Greeley staff and the council, they have been working toward the implementation of a multi-year plan that allows the city to construct a new municipal facility and the consolidation of other city offices. To do so, they must temporarily relocate. And during their relocation, which is temporary, they will not have a city council chambers. So somewhere to host and broadcast their city council meetings. So we've been working with city personnel on a plan that will enable the city to utilize this Board of Education meeting room as their council chambers while they're relocated during their build-out. With approval of this agreement, the city will bring their upgraded media and technology and some improvement to furniture and surroundings to this facility. And these improvements really are substantial for us, as our sound and technology equipment is 15 plus years old and in significant need of replacement and repair. So they will bring their current equipment with them, upgrading this facility for us. And in exchange for that, the district is recommending that we transfer a small district property that is a parking lot owned by the district that is just west of here that we really do not use, and it's not in great shape, but we would grant them that property as part of this exchange, which they would use for their future build out, and would dramatically improve that area of town. When their new city council chamber is ready and they no longer have a need to use our boardroom, they will leave us with their equipment and their furniture, and we will own it if you all approve this intergovernmental agreement.
Well, I think we need to talk about that a little bit. Actually, there may be discussion. I wanted to point out a couple things, and one is that we're going to be responsible for all the custodial and room setup, and that's on a new schedule. That's on an increased number of evening and daytime activities.
Mm-hmm.
And the staff doesn't see any difficulty or not seeing any concern there.
We really feel like, we can manage that in-house. The trade-off for us is really, really a good trade-off. And it's not significant setup. They will bring staff over as well to assist in that.
It's really an opportunity to share our living room with the city of Greeley in response to all the support they've offered us.
Right.
Seems like a
Yes.
fairly good situation. The other thing is, if there are moments of disagreement about use of a room at a particular time, we have some way of kind of judging about best ways to respond to that
Yes.
temporary conflict. But I know that staff have been working on getting it kind of ironed out in anticipation of the possibility of this being acceptable.
The city council meets on Tuesday evenings, Mr. DeWitt, so there's no conflict with our board meetings and the city council meeting, which is their primary need for a facility like this. And then the other meetings, we can work out if we have something that needs to take precedence. We'll work with the city on that.
Any board comments or questions? Let's see if we can do this correctly. Can we go ahead and talk a little bit about a roll call, please, Ms. Maria?
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
Mr. Haefele?
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
Aye.
Mr. Lydiak?
Aye.
Ms. Pappas?
Aye.
Dr. Richard?
Aye.
And the motion carries 6-0.
Gosh, it's going to be hard to say goodbye to these lovely accommodations, but we'll do the best we can. The next item is the City of Greeley Intergovernmental Agreement, student transfer. And it is an action item, and I'd be glad to hear a motion to that effect.
I move that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 approve the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Greeley regarding student transit as presented.
Second.
Brilliant. Dr. Pilch, we've got some questions about this. What's going on?
So both this intergovernmental agreement and the next item, which is a City of Greeley joint use agreement, we have had these agreements in the past. They're almost identical, but they haven't come to the Board of Education. They've simply been signed by the superintendent and the board president, but we felt like we should bring them to the board for the entire board's purview and really to celebrate this partnership that we have with the City of Greeley. So this first one, the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Greeley to provide the Greeley-Evans transit for our students. This agreement, for a very low cost to the district, $15,000, and the cost of IDs for students, Greeley, the City of Greeley provides the Greeley-Evans transit to transport our students free of charge. And so our students are able to access the city bus to get to and from after-school activities to other schools if they are open enrolled to one school that's not their home school, and to navigate the community. So this is a tremendous partnership and a wonderful intergovernmental agreement for us.
There are a few questions, I guess, or comments. Dr. Richard?
And just to clarify, that students can use this on weekends and other times as well?
That's my
for free?
understanding, yes, Julia.
Okay, and I appreciate that, and that it builds that idea of mass transit and that we don't have to always be in our own cars.
Right.
So.
Mr. Hall?
This is another, well, it's one of 3 examples tonight of just amazing leadership within our city government. One of the benefits to our kids that is already in process was the ability to get to early college academy, which there are a substantial number of kids enrolled there that couldn't have got there any other way. The football field's been, or the stadium's been mentioned prior to. Just want to say on the record, there's many communities, and we spoke to many school boards last week at CASB that don't enjoy that relationship with their city. And it's just, this is a special thing. It's a special relationship here in northern Colorado, and people need to realize that. And thank the city council or whoever, city people that are doing this, whenever you get a chance and you do it, because they're truly helping our kids.
Well, I certainly agree. The notion of a mayor and a city manager having the foresight to say our young citizens need to be able to access the community, and this will support them in their getting to their school and to other things that we are expecting them to do. and may reduce the impact of not having the money to get there. We already know our sports events have increased. Our participation in other activities have increased since this opportunity. We certainly know ridership has improved. So again, we're looking at such a benefit to our school district and to our young citizens. So
And they're
certainly-
safe.
And they're in a safe situation.
Yes.
Other comments, questions? Well, roll call, Ms. Brand. Aye.
Mr. Haefele?
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
Aye.
Mr. Lydiak?
Aye.
Ms. Pappas?
Aye.
Dr. Richard?
Aye.
And the motion carries 6-0.
Lovely.